What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Glencadam 25. Stick around. All right, Glencadam 25. It's a fancy day today. Now, I've not done too many reviews of 25-year-old whiskeys, and there's a reason for that. Poverty. Actually, that's not true. I could splash out for an older whiskey from time to time. I don't usually do that, though, just because it's so hard to justify those kinds of price tags. As we all know, older whiskey does not mean better whiskey. Law of diminishing returns, blah, blah, blah. However, some are truly fantastic. This is undeniable. So if you can disregard the price tag, which granted is very hard to do, you can have yourself a hell of a whiskey moment. My issue is just I have that mindset where I can't really disregard the price completely, so I'll finish a dram and I'll be like, there goes 20 bucks. However, if you're on a budget like I am, there is still a way to try some of these fancier whiskeys, and that is to slowly build up a YouTube channel over several years. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and eventually, once you reach the level where you have a certain degree of influence, you can then worm your way into friendships with more successful people who have nice bottles. And that's exactly what happened here. I did not pay for this bottle. This bottle is on loan from a buddy of mine, so thank you, Lester. Right, so Glencadam 25. I gotta say, if there's a brand that could probably nail an older whiskey, it is these guys. I love their bright, clean, floral house style, and I'm hoping that after 25 years in casks, that still shines through. Anyway, for this bottle here, this is batch 6, which came out in 2022. They've since done a batch 7 for 2023. I'm not sure if the batch 8 is out for this year, but yeah, annual release. This one is called The Remarkable, which is a very self-assured title. I'll be the judge of that, thank you very much. For my batch, 1,238 bottles were released. For casks, they don't tell us too much. I think almost certainly it's mostly bourbon, but they don't release that info. And that's about all I know. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. So Glencadam is not always, but almost always a craft brand, giving us 46% non-chill filtered natural color. That's what we've got here. I think this is a great looking bottle. It looks expensive, it looks premium. We get a small stylish label. It's a clear glass bottle, so we can enjoy that wonderful natural color. And we even have this big fancy wooden box to class it up a bit. It's all very posh. For score, we'll give it 4.5 out of 5. This does say non-chill filtered. It says natural color. This is bottle 423 of 1,238. We don't get tasting notes on the label or on the bottle itself. They are on the back of the box though. So good info. All the essentials are there. Not much extra, but it looks cool. On the nose, this is very bright. It's fresh. It's fruity. We get lots of orchard fruit here. There's like freshly sliced apples, there's peaches, there's pears, there's even papaya in here. We get a very delicate natural honey in here. There's barley, there's cereal, there's lots of florals, there's white florals in here. We get like buttery, flaky pastries. There's also vanilla, gentle spices, oak. This is wonderfully fresh and complex. On the palate and finish, our texture here is nothing special, but the flavors are very mouth coating. I get a fruity, delicate sweetness. I get pears and pepper up front. Then some florals kick in, some cloves, a very syrupy vanilla flavor. We get honey, butter, cereals. We get a medium finish on salted butter and florals. All right, so this is very interesting stuff. I'm obviously going to say a lot of nice things here. This whiskey is nothing short of fantastic. In fact, it's one of the best whiskeys just in this room, and I've got some stuff. This has a wonderful nose. It smells like an orchard on a sunny day. In fact, if sunlight had a smell, which it doesn't, but you know, poetry. For the palate and finish, this actually did exactly what I hoped it would, what I wanted it to do, which is it retained the delicacy and the gentle character of Glencadam. So thankfully, this is not overcasked. This is fragrant, mouth coating, bright, floral, crisp, clean, plenty of adjectives here. And yeah, it is impressive how much of the distillate and the brightness of the character that they managed to hold on to. I don't know how many times the bourbon casks have been refilled or what, but the oak influence, while certainly present here, allows the distillate to shine at 25 years old. This gives us fresh fruit, juicy orchard fruits, barley, grain, cereals at the fore, more so than even something like the Glencadam 15. The oak presence, as I said, it is still here, but it's restrained. And I definitely appreciate that. If you know me, you know I'm not a fan of over-the-top cask influences where, if you're using like first fill casks, virgin oak casks, those kinds of things, you're going to have these strong, woody vanilla flavors that can often steal away some of the freshness, the crispness, and the clarity of the flavors. And that's why this stuff is special. It gives me a lot of what I often say is better about younger whiskeys. Now, there's a lot of great things about older whiskeys. They give you more settled in flavors, they're more nuanced, they're more complex, they're more sophisticated. And don't get me wrong, this is all of those things. But on the flip side of that, with younger whiskeys, you often get more vibrancy, more zestiness, more crispness, more of a liveliness to the distillate, which often gets overshadowed by, years and years of oak influence. This really is the best of both worlds. Now, if I were to nitpick, and I were to, I would say that I wish this was a little bit more textured, because with the flavors we're getting, I feel like we should have more of like this kind of silky, velvety texture. We don't. It's a pretty average texture, but that's such a minor gripe, because we're here for the flavors more than we are the texture, and the flavors deliver. And listen, I know I'm laying it on pretty thick with this one. This is not just me glazing something because it's fancy and expensive. Even if we compare it to other 25-year-olds, I do have a couple of other, fancy, expensive whiskeys. Even in that context, this is outstanding. A lot of the reason for me saying all this, though, is that this is just my style of whiskey. It is a bright, vibrant, sophisticated, characterful Highland whiskey, and that's just the kind of whiskey I go for. Now, if I were to describe this to you, I would probably say it is somewhere between Glencadam 10, Dalwhinnie 15, and the old Pulteney. So let's say old Pulteney 21. Glencadam 10 for obvious reasons, but I'm choosing the 10 over the 15 because, again, this one has more of the distillate than a lot of the other members of the Glencadam core range. So very bright, clean, crisp, and floral. As for the Dalwhinnie 15, which is not my favorite whiskey, but it does have some characteristics that I definitely appreciate. Aside from being bright, floral, clean Highlander, much like the Glencadam is, it's got a very restrained oak or cask influence that I've always appreciated, and that does show up in this whiskey as well. And last, I said Old Pulteney 21. I'm not sure how many of you guys out there tried that one. It's been gone for a few years now, but that was a beautiful, sophisticated, complex, salty, buttery kind of character, which is another thing that kind of shows up in this whiskey. So an amalgamation of all three of those whiskeys, but you add in some delicacy, some nuance that you would get with 25 years in the casks, and that's the kind of whiskey you're looking at here. So great balance, great flavors, great whiskey. I don't have a single complaint about this one, except for the single complaint I had a couple minutes back. But now, score is going to be 92. This is fantastic. Sadly, again, not my bottle. It's Lester's. And I'm not going to block him from my contacts and avoid speaking to him just in order to hold on to this bottle. That is morally reprehensible. I wouldn't do that. Now, of course, value will be kind of an interesting conversation here, but before we do that, I want to say a quick thank you to all my patrons, all my channel members. Guys, thank you so much for the support. If you want to help out, if you want to help keep the channel financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I've got Patreon and PayPal linked down below. Anything and everything helps. Again, huge thank you to those of you who are already supporting. Now let's see about value. So is any whiskey worth this much money? The answer to that is going to depend on you, your market, your tax bracket. When you get into whiskeys this expensive, you're kind of speaking a different language. For context, in my market, this costs about 400 US, roughly 310 pounds. Again, I didn't pay for it, my buddy did, but that's what it goes for here. And that is roughly on par with a lot of other 25-year-olds out there, at least here. And as I said, I think this is better than a lot of them. Still a lot of money though. Glad I didn't pay for it. So again, cheers, Lester. You'll never see or hear from me again. I'm going off the grid. I'm taking this bottle with me. It was nice knowing you. All right, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously, I want to hear from you. Have you tried Glencadam 25? What batch did you have? How much did you pay for it? If you want to share that, did you feel it was worth the money? You can let me know all of that down below. Also down below, you can tell me what you want to see me review down the line, and I will keep that in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.